Hi, my name is CO Moon. I'm the editor of subtlenews.com. I'm here with
Mariana Ceballos. I'm a cognitive behavioral psychologist with more than 4 years of experience, but I'm also a specialist in human talent management. So I'm an organizational consultant and a clinical psychologist, and I'm super passionate about the human behavior.
So today's session is forgiveness through the CTB lens, and it's a Q&A session. So let's get started. So Mariana, I guess my first question for you would be, what do people think forgiveness really is?
That's actually a really good question because it's super different what people think it is to what it really is. So they usually think that forgiveness is condoning or excusing someone's behavior when they harmed you. So that's why people run away from forgiveness because they don't want to excuse someone's behavior because that would let them know that they can still do it and still hurt people or hurt them once again. So people run from forgiveness because it's condoning their behavior, and they keep on their anger and their resentment they feel towards the person because they think that they deserve it and they do not deserve them to forgive them.
So then I guess the other question would be, what actually is forgiveness?
So forgiveness, it's taking all of these negative emotions that come from someone that harmed you or some situation, which is anger, resentment, revenge, taking all of these negative emotions and letting them go. But we let them go, replacing them with other kind of emotions. So more positive ones like empathy, understanding, and even compassion. Because whenever we understand the situation and what happened, I will let other one harm me or harm other people. We understand that and we can let it go in an easier way. And that way we take the burden off from all of these negative emotions and be lighter. And that way we can heal, we can find inner peace, we can connect to who we truly are without having these negative emotions on the back of our like over the back of our mind all the time.
So that answers in some way why forgiveness is important, but in a more profound way, why is it important?
So whenever we have grudges or whenever we are unable to forgive, it has a deep impact on who you are, your emotions, and your physical side. So whenever we have some grudges, your anxiety levels will increase, your stress levels will increase, and also you're more likely to have an episode of depression. I'm not saying depression because that's super big and we have many things to diagnose it, but it can be an episode in which we feel like we're unable to eat, or we're eating a lot, or we're unable to sleep, or we're sleeping a lot, that we do not find pleasure in things that we used to find pleasure before. And that's because we're unable to live and we're unable to let go of these emotions that are all the time with us. So it's as like the person that harmed you, the situation, everything was happening all the time to you. And that affects deeply the way that you're connecting with people, the way that you're connecting to yourself and to your environment, which will have a bad impact on who you truly want to be. And you're like pulling away from who you are.
So it sounds like it's actually quite a complicated process, and there are a lot of impacts on our well-being. Can we start maybe with talking about the physical impacts of not being able to forgive?
That's super interesting because the psychosomatic part of forgiveness, it's super like big. Let's talk first about the hormone, the cortisol. So whenever we're having high stress levels, our cortisol hormone increases a lot, which means that it will affect our overall well-being. We will be anxious all day. We will not be able to be calm. And all the time, our body will be trying to like escape or to attack something. And that's whenever you're going to have problems with people. So the first thing that affects is the cortisol level. The other thing that can affect is the efficiency of your immune system. And that happens whenever we have high cortisol. The high cortisol affects our immune system efficacy. So it lowers. And whenever it lowers, you will get sick easier. And it's something that you can see. Like whenever something happens, really big happens to somebody, they get sick constantly all the time and they're sad and they're like unable to get away from there. That's because the stress levels are still super high in the person. Something else that we can see is that the chronic stress elevates the high blood pressure. So whenever you go to the doctor and they do like a million tests on you and they do not find anything, normally they ask you, are you on like high stress? What's happening in your life? Is this something that happened? And then you will go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist because that's something that it cannot be cured with medication. It has to be from who you are and what's happening with you. Other thing that can happen is heart problems. So, because we can have like a higher heart rate when we are on like stress levels, and it would affect our heart rate. So this is something that like cannot be taken like easily. You have to look into it because it can turn into something that's very serious for your health. Something else that we can see is that the vagus nerve that we have on our brain and it connects directly to our digestive system. So our vagus nerve connects all of the emotions that we're having to our digestive tract. So if you're having like you're having a presentation tomorrow, let's say, that you're gonna have like intestinal issues and you're gonna have like stomach aches and things like this because that's the way your body it's preparing for it. And something that happens a lot is that we evade our emotions. So whenever we pull away from them, our psychosomatic symptoms increase. So uh, whenever something happens to me, I will not be thinking about it, but I will have headaches or migraines or back pain or digestive issues. And that's because my body is screaming something that my mind is not taking care of. So basically, these are the things that happen whenever we are not forgiving somebody. It elevates our blood pressure. It affects our cortisol levels, our digestive system, our heart rate. It affects also the headaches that we can get, or even back pains or muscle tension that we can have. So it affects a whole lot of things.
So I hate to ask now that because of the impacts on the physical body, but what are the impacts on the emotional and mental level, or levels, I should say?
Absolutely. So the emotional side, you tend to refrain from things. So let's say whenever we have negative emotions, as we say, resentment, revenge, anger, either we fight or flight, literally. So we're attacking everybody that's around us. We have unhealthy relationships. Somebody that has like our partner who doesn't know anything about the situation that we have, and we start having problems with them. We stop hearing people. We tend to have like a defense on us because we do not want to get hurt again. So we tend to push people away unconsciously. And that's whenever you start feeling lonely, isolated, because you don't want to get there anymore. And your mind, it's helping you avoid this. And that happens whenever we do not confront the emotions that we're having. We let them grow and we give them things to grow. And whenever the emotions come with intrusive thoughts, like I do not know why they do this, or it hurt me a lot when they did this, and we give them more fire to it, then you're gonna be, first of all, the stress is gonna increase, the anxiety would increase, and you will take everything personally. So whenever somebody does anything, it's gonna be your fault, and you're gonna attack everybody or evade them and isolate yourself from people.
So then, I guess my next question would be, what part of forgiveness do people tend to struggle with the most? Because there's so many impacts on us, but it's so difficult for people to take the steps to forgive.
So the The thing that people struggle most, or the what I can see from my patients, is to actually to decide to forgive them. Because as I said before, whenever we think about forgiveness, it's about condoning or excusing their behavior because it's something that we do not want to do because they hurt us. But having the decision to forgive, it's to be courageous and understand that it's not about you. It's understand the situation, what happened, and actually look into why the offender did what they did, what happened with it. So something happened also with a patient I have, which is a really good example because we tend to talk also about forgiveness, but about external things. So this patient actually was struggling with forgiving herself because she suffered sexual assault and she couldn't forgive herself, but by not standing up for herself, but like getting into a state of shock. So she couldn't forgive herself from this. She had to take the decision to forgive herself because she couldn't be able to, she wasn't able to look at men into the eyes. She wasn't able to have interactions. Everything from the psychosomatic part and also her emotional side was affected completely. So she had to forgive herself, for able to forgive herself, for her to decide that she doesn't want to be this way anymore. And also take the steps to say, okay, this is unjust, but I have control of the feelings of anger. And she confronted them, which also was something that we did during therapy, which was hard. It was a journey. It wasn't easy, but we were able to do it.
It sounds a lot like forgiveness is a process that's similar in some ways to grief. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So they're very, very similar, grief and also forgiving, because we have our steps in which we have denial of what's happening, or that we have any, like we have a say on this, on forgiveness, on what happened. We tend to feel like it was something that somebody else did to me, but you have also power there. And this is something that's really important for me. So whenever we have grief and we have forgiveness, we cannot control whatever is happening to us, but we do have control of the way that we're reacting to it. So whenever we have grief, you have the decision to see how you're continuing your life. If you want to change on it, if you want to dwell on it or reflect on it and come back stronger, or if you want to dwell and get back and stay on the grief. With the same thing happens with forgiveness. If you want to stay with the anger, stay with the resentment, with the revenge, or if you want to grow, learn from it, forgive, and promote compassion.
Are there any particular steps that you can advise that the people watching this video may decide or feel they can take?
Absolutely. So actually, whenever we're working in CBT psychology, we I like the model of Robert Enright. He has a model of forgiveness, and he has 4 steps. So you can go and Google it. It's online. There are books about it, but I will tell you like the easy 4 steps that he talks about. The first one is to uncover the anger. So whenever he talks about uncovering the anger, it's about all of the emotions that are there that caused the harmful effect. So what's there? What do I feel? Why is there anger? Why am I feeling angry towards? Is it towards the person? Is it toward the situation? Is it toward my insecurities? Why is it there? So truly understand the emotions that are there. The second step, it's making the decision to forgive, which I told you it's the hardest one. And we can have the second step whenever we understand when it's coming from. Do I truly want to keep feeling this way? And then you make the decision to forgive. And we go to the third step, which is cultivating forgiveness. And that's something that we work in therapy. But if you don't want to go to therapy, whatever it is, we have a lot of situations. You can also do it with the people around you, having support and looking into normal life situations with compassion and also self-compassion, which is something that we normally leave behind. And the first step that you can do with this is the way that you're talking to yourself, the way that you backlash yourself whenever you make a mistake, or if you pick yourself up and help you whenever you make a mistake. So this one is the third step. And the fourth and last one, it's release the negative emotions. And as I said before in the first question, it's about releasing the negative emotions, but replacing them with the positive ones. Compassion, empathy, understanding of the offender, of what happened, so that you can grow with it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mariana. I think that's it for the session. If for the viewers, if you have any questions, you can go to our Facebook page, Subtle News, or the website subtlenews.com, but you can certainly post questions on the Facebook page, or any comments you have for Mariana or myself, and we'd be happy to answer them. So thanks, everyone, and thanks again, Mariana.